Great job, Katie. I'm ready to run through a wall for the country right now. One quick exercise. Any public servant in the audience, stand up, just very quickly. Come on, we got to do it. Thank you. This is the most, I think we've sugarcoated it a bit. This is the most dramatic government reform we'll go through in our lifetimes. And we're going to unpack this reform, but your service is duly appreciated. You continue to serve under tough conditions. So last year, I stood on this exact stage and talked about the AI era. I rewatched that session, and I say to myself, we were just talking about technology for technology's sake. We had no clear why at the time on where we were going to point this artificial intelligence. We talked about the GPT moment, these advanced capabilities, how automation will advance. Today, we're going to give real practical advice on how we solve the elephant in the room, the resource gap. We're also going to show forward-looking capabilities, and we're going to make a big product announcement for Automation Cloud Public Sector. All right, 2 policies. Has everyone seen these policies? One is on February 11th, the Department of Government officially was effectively announced with an executive order asking for resource plans, where you see overlap or duplicative resources, as well as automation plans that will shortly follow. Has everyone seen this executive order? I assume so. And then we said to ourselves, what is DoD going to do? Well, DoD, Secretary Hegseth took a different route, but released a memo on April 7th. Very similar language and very similar focus on automation through the application of AI in order to bridge the resource gaps. I'm going to break down the numbers. You're going to see your agency probably on here somewhere, but the numbers are immense. It is akin to 288,000 employees vanishing overnight. Realistically, more like over the course of 6 months, and over 100,000 have left government in the past quarter. This is a resource gap that we cannot expect less people to do the same amount of work, even if the mission contracts in certain areas. You see here on the graphic, it's between 6% and up to 27% for some agencies. What is the answer? I think if we're not willing to have these conversations in this room, as the automation community, no one will be able to have these conversations. That's why I bring it up. That's why we need to talk about 600 million hours, labor hours, is what we need to replace in the next 12 to 18 months. So what's the solution? Daniel talked about this. I'm going to take this back to basics because I've talked with many customers over the past couple of weeks, and they've asked me, what's agentic? Who understands agentic? Let's start there. Come on, some brave souls. All right, we have 4 people who understand agentic. Beautiful. Gartner named agentic AI top tech trend for 2025. I'd compare it to cloud computing in terms of technology waves. The reason I would do that is because we know it's going to be pervasive in our organization. We just don't quite know how to apply it yet. I would actually compare it to, very simply, it is a digital worker, would be the synonym for an agent, to work alongside your traditional employees. I don't love the definition of autonomous because at UiPath we believe human in the loop and attended automations or workflows is how we're going to work with technology in the future. So let's take it a bit further. Let's look at this in terms of, I've always liked binary concepts as a technologist. The human brain illuminates how UiPath is bringing together robots and agents. Let's think of a government employee, so an administrative or clerical employee. There's 2 modes. That's the most common job class across government, by the way. There's 2 modes that this employee works in. One is left brain. That is, I am looking at data or information, comparing it against a policy, inputting it in a database. That's effectively what we've solved with robots over the past 10 years. We've made great impact, millions of hours. But the right brain work has been overlooked because the technology was not there. Large action models and large language models allow us now to do analysis, to make recommendations, to do research. That is a massive part of a government employee's job. So we're bringing these two technologies together. We're integrating in large language models behind the scene. We're taking action with robots in a very deterministic way, and it's all driven by policy. But how do you actually get beyond RPA to agentic? That's the second most common question I get beyond what's agentic. For one, you should feel good. You are automating at the task level. You are making government better. You understand how to govern and secure these automations. But you need to get into what we call document-led automation. We've seen a lot of customers after last year, an influx across DHS, DoD, Treasury, do document-led automation. This is not OCR. This is not scanning. That's the one misnomer. This is full straight-through processing, precision models for your documents that is actually going to transact within your source systems and process the document. What this does, it gets you comfortable with not having to code every single rule via a robot and start doing that right brain type automation. It's also going to feed your agents the context they need in order to be a digital worker. So without documents being automated and digitized, you frankly cannot get to agentic. So if there's one piece of homework, go find a document, implement IDP. You probably have it within your software stack today. You're just not using it. This opens the aperture for thousands of use cases, but back to the executive order and the memo. Most of the immediate opportunities are in administrative and management functions. So I think that's part of the challenge with agents is understand the job class that you're going to go after with agents and understand those employee types. You see here, claims processors, administrative support staff, case managers, regulatory compliance officers. Number two rule principle is these are going to be document-centric employees and processes. 35% of a government employee's time is spent with document-centric tasks. That is amazing. So we're going to tackle those. And then we have different process areas. These are, the interesting thing here, these are the areas you've deployed robots, unattended and attended. So you should be going after ways to reuse and extend your robots into that right brain thinking. All right, it would be arrogant to presume that we could bridge the entire 600 million gap in this room. But we believe, based on what we've done in RPA to date, saving millions of hours a year, kudos to customers that have established centers of excellence, and kudos to customers that have leaned in and tracked value realized. I recommend, there's been some customers in the past, we didn't want to show ROI or hours because that would indicate a reduction to our workforce in the future. This is the perfect time to showcase these results. And you see, as you advance your journey, you get into document-led, you get into agent-led, you're going to drive more value because you can take on a broader range of tasks. So look at this, 45% of the labor gap could be bridged with people in this room within the next 12 to 18 months with only this technology. I think we have to get after it. I think we have to take the opportunity. As Daniel said, think big is absolutely what we should do. And here's the announcement. I promised some excitement. So Automation Cloud Public Sector was released last year. We received our FedRAMP authorization. And we promised we're going to continue to push innovation here. So Autopilot for everyone will give you the ability to build your first agent on Automation Cloud Public Sector. It includes AI Trust Layer. It includes pre-integrated LLM capabilities based on AWS Bedrock and Anthropic Claude, fully secure. You can also bring your own model for that right brain analysis. You get better document coverage by being able to incorporate in your document models and ML skills. And it's all natural language prompt based to both build automations and run automations. We have a 90-day trial. There was a press release a couple of weeks ago corresponding with the DOGE executive order. Take advantage of playing around with this capability. We think it will be able to drive that labor gap down much faster than traditional RPA. So now, Jared Welch, come on up. He's going to give us a glimpse into the near future with our agentic capabilities. Take it away, Jared.
Thank you, Chris. As Chris said, I'd like to take a few moments and make some of this a little bit more real, right? We'll show a live hands-on demo, and we're going to take this from the standpoint of a process. Because at the core of all of our businesses, the process is what moves that business forward. As you see on the screen here, we're going to take a look at specifically the benefits application process. And while we'll go through some of the details here, I want you to make sure that we take away that the challenges I'm about to walk through are the challenges that exist in every single holistic end-to-end process. So we're seeing on the screen here, again, step one, there are challenges that exist. Challenge number one, paper. As Chris just said, there's these paper documents that are either handed in, scanned in, emailed in, and there's data locked inside those documents. Challenge one. Challenge two, I need to make intelligent decisions to move my process forward. Challenge three, I need to interact with my applications through the user interface or through APIs. And challenge four, I need that human review piece. So I've got these four challenges that exist. I need four different technologies to solve those challenges. So to solve the paper challenge, I need IDP, intelligent document processing. To solve challenge two, these complex decisions, I need agents. This is where Chris is moving us towards. To solve problem three, which is an interaction with applications, that's RPA. We can automate through the user interface or through APIs. And problem number four is human element, human review, human supervision. That's human in the loop. So you need four different technologies to solve all of the different problems that exist in a process. But there's an implicit fifth technology as well, which is an orchestration layer. Right, the way that I like to describe this is if you have a kitchen and you have all of the best, newest pots and pans of fresh ingredients, but you put a very average chef in that kitchen, you're going to get average food. However, if you take a kitchen with maybe a year or two old pots and pans, a week old spices, but you put Gordon Ramsay in that kitchen, you're going to get really good food. Now, you give Gordon Ramsay the freshest spices, that's when you get world-class food. That's where we think the market's going. We think UiPath has a very firm stance in this. Is all of those four challenges I just mentioned, plus your orchestration layer, UiPath has a technology to move your process forward, solving each of the respective challenges that exist in a way that makes the most sense for your business. The right technology, the right person at the right time. So if we can keep going back one slide, and perfect here. So what I'm going to show you now is a live demo. And this is that product, Maestro, that we were just referring to. And it is the exact same process that you just saw up on the screen, where we look at the benefits process. That step one is an application. The citizen applies for benefits, SNAP, food stamps, et cetera. The second step is we have to go research additional information about that applicant in our sources of record. Legacy mainframes, web apps, you name it. There needs to be then a decision made. Should I approve this application, yes or no? And then the fourth step is I'm going to make sure I've got a caseworker managing that case to make the final approval based upon that recommendation. So you see this here, this is Maestro, this is that BPM and diagram, right? Where we can actually tell you and define what the end-to-end process needs to look like from an execution standpoint. But it's not just the definition, it is also the execution. So if I scroll in here and look at these individual steps, this step one, as I just said, that's that application being received. As you can see in this box here and up above, we have this phrase DU, document understanding. That is UiPath's IDP tool, where we can receive that application, perform all of the extraction and classification required to then move the process forward, which goes to step two, which is a completeness check. Using the information I've extracted from the application, go into my systems, perform additional research, gather all of the relevant data that I need to then make my decision on is this applicant eligible. It's not just information in that paper that's required to make that decision. You have to look at existing policies, other information. Has this person applied previously? Has something changed in the last 30, 60, 90 days? right? There's this RPA piece to go gather the information, but there's this an agentic component here, which actually makes the intelligent decision for you. Now, we may not be all comfortable with that robot, that agent, actually finishing the process without human review. So that last step here I want to highlight is that caseworker review, where we surface all of that information to a single person whose job now is simply to review all of that information and make the final determination, yes or no. So this is the process that we're going to be looking at. I'm going to take a quick zoom out here, and I want to show you the kickoff of this process, which is going to be my email. Again, for this example, we're going to receive these applications over email. We can kick off this process through any sort of trigger, emails, handed off a physical paper, and it's being scanned, web portals, et cetera. But these applications, I've got 3 different applications here with these attachments. And when this process kicks off, as you see over here now, I actually have 3 instances now of my process kicking off. If I click on one of them and zoom in, you can now see the process begin to execute in Maestro. Again, this is not just the definition, this is also instance management, execution management of the process. As you see, it's performing this initial screening. It's going to happen all in the background for you, and that's the beauty. You don't need to be hands-on involved in the core of the mundane of the process. I can just make sure that I'm being brought in as an employee to the exact moment in time that I need to be brought in. So see a few different instances here. This one's moving forward. I can click on all the different instances. As a management layer, it's very easy to look at all of the things that are going on and make decisions. You can error handle, you can have all of the overview that you need to have. Now, this specific case right here has gone through all of that initial processing. It's now paused on this caseworker review step. Right? So now I'm going to take the persona away from this management layer. I'm going to be a caseworker in the Snap program. And now I'm going to show you what my whole day looks like now. I can go into Action Center with a quick refresh. I see now I have 2 additional claims here. Those are 2 of the emails that were sent over that we pulled out. The third, there was not enough information to proceed forward, so it simply automatically replied over email to that applicant and saying, I don't have enough information, please provide more. Right? We're only bringing people in when we need people brought in. But for those 2 that have the relevant information, I, as the caseworker, my entire day is now just this. No longer do I have to spend the time going through the mundane processes, the reading of that piece of paper, the research in my systems. Everything that I need to make that decision is right here in front of me. I have the actual application here on the right-hand side. I have all of the additional supporting documentation, for example, policies. What are the guidelines to approve a Snap application? Right? We can have this all be researched for you through the interaction with the application piece, and all this information is being provided to the agent. These are really intelligent agents that can take this existing information, known existing information, and also augment it with additional information that we pull out through a document understanding or an RPA lookup in your process. And that agent can actually tell you whether or not it recommends this applicant is eligible for benefits. I, as the reviewer, all I have to do now is say, do I agree? It gives me my rationale. It even tells me what the recommended benefits should be on a monthly cadence based upon the policies that we have received. So now I take this information, I say, yes, I approve. And if I take a look at this other claim over here, this one looks a little bit different because it is going to recommend that I do not approve this specific claim because the applicant's household size is under 2 and the income is $10,000. That is against the policy that we've put in place. So I'll click deny on this one. And if I go back into my instance management over here, you'll see that will re-trigger my process, and it will continue moving it forward. This is why this orchestration layer is so important. An agent alone isn't enough. A brain in a jar on a shelf doesn't really do anything for you. You need a really intelligent brain in a really athletic body, and an orchestration layer, that conductor, that maestro, to tell all of the components what to do at the right time. You see my process has now finished. I've sent the denial message. This was that second case there. and that applicant has now received a well-rounded informational email on why they were denied. I, as a human now, I can spend my time doing this process or the really high value add tasks. I can call my citizen and say, hey, I see you've applied 3 times in the last 20 days. Why is that? Here's what I'm missing from you. We're up-leveling the skill, up-leveling the employees, and reducing the amount of work required to move that process forward. So if I can flip to the slides again. And Chris, if you can move me to this one, perfect. This is that same process now, but up-leveled. Right? All of the challenges that we saw have been solved with specific pieces of technology. We have that IDP tool doing that extraction from that application. We have robots going into all of the nooks and crannies of your applications. Legacy tech stacks, brand new SaaS applications, on-prem, doesn't matter. We can go get the information that you needed to make your decision. We pass that to an agent to make that intelligent decision for you, and then we escalate that decision to a supervisor to make sure that we have the right people making the right decisions. Because if you just kind of toggle back and forth between the old process and the new process. A lot of challenges, a lot of pain, a lot of struggles, bad throughput. We have citizens who are waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for information about their application, as opposed to the new version of the process. They almost get instantaneous information. We're providing better services with lower effort. This is a win-win for everyone involved. So if we go to the next slide, Chris, and we'll
Thank you so
tell you
much,
how to do it.
Jared. That was excellent.
Thank you,
Jared. A glimpse into the future. I'm going to end with a conversation I had. It was just a couple of weeks ago, and the conversation was around workforce optimization. How can an automation program really drive immediate results? And the comment from the customer was very resonant. It was, I don't need a grand strategic plan here. I need results. And I think we need to all take that mindset of the technology is here. You have the investment, potentially the operating model in terms of an automation COE in your agency, and the opportunity to drive down that workforce gap aligned with top level, the most important government reform in decades, is all within our reach. What we're going to do as a company, not only invest in product, we're going to invest in enablement. With that whole theme of it's all about execution and results, we're going to be sending out an invite. You can spread this to your organizations. Public Sector Automation Bootcamp, where you can learn how to digitize your first document, learn how to deploy your first agent, and bridge the resource gap. The time is ours. Thank you all.
Thank you.